Hello my dear YouTuber friends, and I do hope you're all keeping well. Welcome to this new video, which is an overview, a kind of review, and a bit of a tutorial on Little Navmap. It's a utility that people have been telling me to get for the longest time. I've only just today downloaded it and started playing with it. So what I'm gonna do, it's a map utility program. So it lets you see accurately where your aircraft is. Now, according to this, we're just past the O2 arena. So let's switch to flight sim and check that is true. Yeah, and we're flying over the Isle of Dogs, or the commercial centre in London. So what this little utility does is let you map accurately in all kinds of aircraft. I'm using a Cessna 172 here. Your progression along a given route, and you can load in flight plans, I'll be showing you that, lets you see accurately where you are on the world map. Like I said, I'm using the Cessna 172 for this video, but you could do this in the 146, an airliner, the A320, Concorde, 737, whatever you prefer. And you can also use it in something like the Cessna to line up accurately for a runway, which I'm hopefully going to be showing you in this video. Anyway, that's enough of a brief introduction. Let's get on with the video. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is download Little Navmap. I'm going to link this down in the description. You can probably hear Flight Sim running it in the background. I do have it up and running, at least. By the way, you go here, go to Releases and Downloads. Now, depending what type of computer you're using, the latest stable version is 2.6.18, so download that. Just click it. And then it gives you the options, whether you're on Windows, Mac, Linux, whichever operating system you're using. Obviously with Flight Sim we're using Windows, so click this one. And what will happen is, it will download as a compressed file. As you can see here, it's here. Now I've just went there, right-clicked for myself and extract to all. And, where is it? It's here. It will extract this folder. And in here, you should have an icon called an application called Little Navmap. What I suggest you do here is go send to, now come on, make sure you got it highlighted, send to desktop as a shortcut. That's what I've done, so I can get easy use to it. But I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll run it, let it run. Now I've run this already, this window keeps coming up. And I've not done this yet, it's saying go to menu tools options and then catchy and files to download the globe data. I'll do that at some point. I don't need to do it at this video. You probably have, let's just see, window. Can we set? Yeah, I'll reset it all to default. You probably have all these up. And a couple of these options were on as well, showing the airspaces and VORs. And it looks a bit messy, so you can clean this up. Let me help show you how I clean this up myself. I just clicked off these windows. Little X at the side there. Little X there and there. And with these icons here, I believe these were selected. The airspaces. I just left-clicked it and clicked none there. Clicked off that, and I clicked off VORs for now. I think that's VORs. Oh no, waypoints. Clicked off that as well. And then you're left with this window. You probably get another window saying download database. Just go ahead. It came up automatically for me. It should do for you. Connect and download. And then once you've run Flight Sim, connect to Flight Sim. And I believe it toggles once you do that by default. I don't know why that is on here, but it will toggle. Each time Flight Simulator is open, it will toggle in and out. Okay, so that's the basis. I've not gone into much depth there. I didn't have to do a great deal aside from turning a couple of options off so I could see the world map less cluttered. And you can turn off more options here. It's still a bit more cluttered. The Sphinx here I don't need on. But I'm just going to leave them on because it's not going to hopefully disrupt this video. Once you've connected, download databases, which it prompts you to do, and close the windows and turn those options off. You should have a similar screen to what I've got here. You can actually go full screen with that map if you want to. No, I don't like that. I prefer to have it like that. I just prefer to have it like that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into Flight Sim, load up a flight plan, and load up the same flight plan in Little Navmap. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm in Flight Sim in the Cessna 172. I've just created a very simple plan from runway 27 at London City Airport, flying over, well in this case, in Flight Sim. Oh, let's just get a bit nearer there, shall we? What's it doing? There we go. Wickham Air Park. And I've just created a waypoint at Heathrow. So basically, London City to Wickham Air Park waypoint at Heathrow. Now, I've saved this flight plan as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch you over to Little Navmap. Poor OBS. Every time I do this, it seems to really stress out. I'm going to... This icon here, it's Open Flight Plan. Just click that if you have a flight plan saved. And basically, here's where I've got my flight plan saved. So I can click that, the one I've just showed you in Flight Simulator. And there we go. It's repeated it in Little Navmap, or replicated it. The only other thing here, I wonder if this is to do with the globe data detail that I've not put in. It's saying this is Bucker Airfield. It's the same airfield, don't worry. And this airfield I've chosen because it's particularly difficult to spot. There's only one runway you can see from the air, and that's runway 24 or runway 6, I believe. But it's this runway we'll be wanting to land on. And I'll show you how Little Navmap can be very useful for lining up with runways. So there you go, that's all set. Get back to the flight. Switch you back to the flight. There we are. So that's all set up. Let's go fly. Okay, so this is the introductory screen that you get when you load into a flight. You all know this. It puts you just off the runway. If we look now at Little Navmap, let's zoom into London City Airport there. You can see it's put us just off the runway. Now, as this plane starts up in the introductory video you get when you load into an aircraft, look, you can see it going forward. Let's get back to the sim. See that in the sim? There you go. And eventually it will take us onto the runway there. Anyway, let's get back to the sim and start the flight. I just thought that was a nice feature. It's like a one-to-one representation of where you are actually in the airport as well, which is nice. So you can use it even for airport navigation. Let me just press my B button to reset my altimeter. Essentially, once again, it just gives you the correct reading in your aircraft of where you are, your altitude above sea level. So that's why I've done that. I'll set an assigned autopilot altitude to 1200 feet. And I'm going to keep it in that view, in fact. Throttle up. I'm using the Xbox controller, by the way. From time to time, I like to retry controllers that I've set up and maybe alter them a little. I've altered the sensitivities on this again. Maybe a video on that in the future. Getting a little bit of torques and a Xbox 360 controller is rumbling, which is nice. So I'm just using my rudder to get me back to the center line. And we're just at takeoff speed there. So I can reset my view now. Just trim up a little bit. Live multiplayer as well, as always. North Europe server, I believe. Probably hear aircraft zooming past me there. Okay, that'll do, you know. Let's just get down to the autopilot and nav. And I can go hands off. It'll follow our route we set up before. Now we're coming towards the O2 Arena. Let me just get to the external view. Let me show you what Little Navmap's doing. Is it following our route? Is it? Yep, it is. There's the O2 Arena here. Beyond it is the Isle of Dogs, the commercial district of London. So we're approaching the O2 Arena. There we go. There it is coming ahead, and there's a commercial centre district ahead of us too. So we're just passing over those rivers. Poor OBS, can it cope? Zoom in, yep, you can see we're just passing over the rivers there, our bends in the river, into the commercial district now, financial district. And it's a brilliant way of finding where you are, especially in something like, well, any aircraft. This is a Cessna 172. You could zoom right out and see where you are in an airliner as well. And before long, we'll be passing by the sort of main downtown landmarks of London as well. Sort of London Bridge there, as you can see. So there's London Bridge. Let's keep it there. Get back to the sim. And if we take a look, there's London Bridge coming up ahead of us. So it's pretty accurate. It gives you pretty much pinpoint positioning on that little nav map to where you are actually in the world here in Flight Simulator. So there you go. There's London Bridge here coming up. Come on, OBS, just a little bit longer. Zoom in a little bit. There we are. See, it's just passing us by as well. So there you go, very, very accurate. Then you've got all the City of London, all the famous landmarks around here. Get back to the sim, we should be approaching them. Indeed we are. Very, very accurate. Okay, so that I'll tell you what, we're on our way to Heathrow. That's one of our waypoints. I'm not going to let you sit there and watch all that. That'll be pretty boring for you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let the aircraft continue on autopilot past Heathrow, heading towards our destination airport, Wickham Airport, in fact, in the sim. When we get to the top of descent, it even gives you a top of descent icon here as well. When we reach this, more or less, I'm going to show you how I can line up for runway 24 accurately, or more accurately than you can typically in the sim, using Little Navmap. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so we're slowly approaching top of descent, the line where I said I want to go, basically I want to go northward from there. What I'm going to do in the aircraft, let's put you back into the aircraft, and put you back to the cockpit view. Oh, throttled back, I didn't realise I was over-revving it. How's that? So, well, been over-revving it shouldn't really do it much harm. I'm going to engage heading mode once I get to that point, because it will basically head north by default, and that's exactly where I want it to go. I'm going to control it with heading mode. Let's just bring you back to Little Navmap again. So essentially, once we get here, I want it to go up here, and then I'll head sort of westward to head towards runway 24. And it's a good way of actually finding airports that are typically difficult to spot. This one's really difficult to spot, and hopefully this will go okay. Let's hope so. So we're heading towards that top of descent. I'm going to switch you back to flight sim, hopefully. I'll keep an eye on Little Navmap. When it hits that top of descent, I'll hit that heading switch, and you know what, it's hitting it now. So I'll go to heading select, which will take it on heading mode. And if we go back quickly to Little Navmap, you can see the aircraft's turning, and it's going to turn towards a northerly direction. Now, what I want it to do, I want it to get to around about here on Little Navmap, and then we can head west to head towards runway 24 there, which is difficult to spot at this specific airport for whatever reason. So let's hope I can do it. So there we go, where do I have you? I still have you on Little Navmap, that's fine. I'm going to slow the aircraft down. I keep you on Little Navmap mode, I'm just slowing it down in preparation to get to flaps, so bringing it down to around, I don't know, 2100 RPM or so. Probably hear the aircraft noise slowing down, so the aircraft is slowing down for me. I'll just keep you in this view for now, because like I said, and then I'll bring you back to the flight sim once we get to around about here with this aircraft. It's a good way of finding hidden... So when you're given a flight route to fly, load it up in Little Navmap, and then if you're having difficulty spotting runways, this should be a big help for you. I want to go in very lightly, as you can see, through Little Navmap features as I discover more. I only downloaded it today. I've been trying it today. As I discover more, I'll do more videos and even maybe incorporate it into a live stream. I'm sure people who have been using it for a while will be sharing their hints and tips in the comments, and please do. All helps. So there we go. What I'm going to do, I'm going to switch you back to the flight sim. I'll keep an eye on Little Navmap. It's coming up to the point where I need to start turning, which we'll do around about now. So I'm just going to move my heading bug manually. And the view as well. To the west. Oh, come on, behave. Just move my heading bug. This is the time I wish I had my velocity 1. So easy to do with this with the controls on the velocity 1. So now, let's switch you back to Little Navmap. We should be heading towards now. Roughly runway 24. As you can see, we're heading in a westerly direction, heading pretty much towards the airport there, the runway in fact. Still probably a wee bit far out to start worrying about. Configuring the aircraft to land. Flaps. I'll go to flaps in a moment. I'm just going to keep an eye on the map myself. What do I have you? I have you on the map. So there we go. Let's just switch you back to the sim before I forget. Go back to that view. Can we see anything of that runway? Probably not yet. I know it's in this direction. It's basically in a field. Now, I've done this before. It's kind of cheating, but if you haven't, when I first did it, using Little Navmap to guide me towards that runway, as you saw. Poor OBS, just a little bit longer, please. As you can see there, we're heading towards it. Using that, I'm going to keep you in flight sim mode probably now. It lets you see the runway. I believe it's around here. We should start seeing a concrete runway. Is it this field or that field? We'll soon find out. How's our speed doing here? We're okay on speed. Let's just go to stage 1 of flaps now, under autopilot. That'll help us to configure better. I believe it's somewhere in here. And you should see it because we're heading directly towards that runway. In accordance with Little Navmap, we've still got a little bit of distance to cover. But we should start seeing it. I always have difficulty spotting runways, and I know a few people do. I'm putting it down to my poor eyes, or just typically not paying attention or looking in the right direction. Is it this field or that field? It's one of these fields it's in. How's my Little Navmap doing? Okay, I'll switch you one more time. That's the distance we are from runway 24. Back to the sim. Come on, OBS, please. Okay. Seems to be behaving. Where is it? It's roughly... I'm just looking myself on Little Navmap. I'm heading straight towards it, so it should be coming up. I believe it's here. As soon as I can spot it, I can take it off autopilot and start configuring ourselves for a landing. It's there, isn't it? Gotta be. That's the runway, surely. Coming up. Yeah, this is a runway coming up here. Just about start to make it... There it is. Just about start to make it... I can just start to make it out now. So off autopilot we go. I've got full control, so to speak, of the aircraft. Start bringing my speed down. So you can probably just see the outline of the runway here. There we are. Better view for you. Let's keep it in that view for now. Bring my speed down. So you can see this particular runway is a bugger to line up with. Or spot. And with the help of Little Navmap, let's hope I've got you on Flight Sim. I do. With the help of Little Navmap, it's made the job a lot easier. I can imagine when you're doing flight plans from other people as well, and you're having difficulty spotting runways, this is going to be a godsend. So there we go. It's nicely lit up for us. So I can bring my speed down. Put myself back to my default view so I can see what the aircraft's really doing. Okay. Bit long and fast, but it's okay. I can float and just kill off some speed over the runway here. Using the old Xbox controller here, Xbox 360 controller. There we go. And just keep myself on the runway there with a bit of rudder. Am I using the right... Oh, I'm not using my brake. I wasn't using my brake. Okay, chaps. That was my fault. I forgot where my brake was. Never mind. I did decrease my throttle. I've come off the runway. But it gives you the general idea. Just ignore that part. I'll keep that in. Anyway, there you go. That's an overview. There we go. We're just off the runway of Little Navmap. Let me switch you back to the nav to show Little Navmap to show you that we have indeed. Well, we've landed on the runway and come off it, but it was that runway. Let me know your thoughts. Give this a try. It's free to download. Well worth a try. I'm going to be using it probably quite a lot from now on. It's a marvellous little utility and there's a lot more to discover with it yet. Let me know your thoughts, subscribe for more, and I'll see you soon.